What's going on, everybody? This is Chaz, your host of the DSPAC podcast. So, I've got a different kind of guest for you today. This guy's locked into the SPAC ecosystem and the DSPAC ecosystem in a completely different way from anybody else that we've had on the show so far. I want to introduce to you Dr. Mo from RetailVolts. And, Doc, good having you on the show. What's going on, Mo?
Thank you so much, Jazz. A pleasure to be here today. Doing well, thank you.
I love it, brother. I love it. So, some of you, if you're in the SPAC ecosystem, you may already be familiar with Retail Volts. Some of you may not, but I want to make sure that if you're not, that I bring you in to help you understand who these guys are, what they're bringing to the table, and particularly if you're a private company going public and you're going to use a SPAC as the vehicle to do it, why you need to be locked in for the next 30 minutes or so, while Mo helps you understand some of the ways that you can increase visibility for your company. And visibility, as you know, if you're going to be public facing, you got to be visible for them to know to buy your stock. So, Mo, good to have you here, man. Why don't you just start by introducing yourself and Retail Volts a little bit?
Yeah, my name is Mo Abdi. I'm a physician by training, turned founder. We've been stealth for a while as a company, Retail Volts. However, now we have many commercial contracts, and we're helping a lot of firms make sure that they have their face in front of the people that they need to have their face in front of. Uh, Basically, like right now, strangers on the internet are pricing your stock. They're talking about it, and a lot of people, a lot of companies don't know how to keep track of that or how to sway that. And that's where Retail Volts comes in, and that's how we bring value to our clients.
I like it. So, let me ask, just kind of for starters, you talk about online, like what are the platforms that you guys are utilizing to help increase visibility, and why are those significant?
So the globally, we our agency is two parts. The first part is GateWatch AI, which is a market intelligence sentiment portal, which helps us analyze and see what people are saying about your firm. This could be a company that's about to list an IPO, a DSPAC, the SPAC itself, or a company going under reverse merger. It watches and listens across all the social media silos from Reddit, StockTwits, Discord, and others, just to see what people are saying on X about you. And then we use that data to help make the conversation be organized, to see how you can as a company yourself be involved in that discussion to be where people are at. And that's done through our other arm, which is the Retail Volts full stack media agency. So these two components, the GateWatch AI market intelligence platform, which all our clients have access to, and the media agency work together to help bring value to the company. So that's what we do, and we're on more or less every social media platform you can think of.
So let me ask you this. You talk about the GateWatch AI component and you talk about the Retail Volts component. Like, what made you build out both of these and put them together instead of just picking one lane and running?
To be honest with you, it wasn't like that. When we first started, it was just one thing. It was the media agency. We were developing that and growing that. And even the way it started, it was very organic. It was right before COVID. A lot of CEOs wanted to have a chat in the hundreds of Reddit subreddits that I was running. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, this you're bringing real value to companies out there. You should be really let's do something and make a company about this." His name is Krishan, very smart guy, very intelligent guy. That's the guy who gave this idea of turning it into a business. And then that's how Retail Volts was born. It was previously called Retail Sparks, now Retail Volts. It took a while to develop. Krishan is leading a Sentinel right now, which is a big data intelligence firm, sentiment firm, very powerful, working with Naravans. Uh, and from this history of developing and gathering all this data and being in this milieu of a lot of data, we realized we needed a way to kind of monitor the conversation, get this data and process it. And that's how GateWatch developed. It came from a lab, a research lab, which we call Skunkworks, which we have internally, similar to Skunkworks, the military has for developing
Okay.
aircraft, different aircrafts. So we have that, and we developed GateWatch through that, tested it out over a period of 15 months. You know, we have a full stack developer and two engineers who worked on it, beta tested it and went live, and it's really helping the clients. The clients love it. So that's how that project came together, the Gatewatch. And I wasn't planning
Hmm.
to, but now we have these two arms, but it forms a full circle from the detection, monitoring, listening, then to actually developing a plan and delivering it through the media agency side.
So let's just kind of let's just kind of keep on talking about the platforms really that are there. I want to talk about this about the GateWatch AI. And I think you said it tracks market intelligence and sentiment across what platforms? What was
Right
it?
now, we're tracking on X, which is the largest financial platform for people that where they're getting financial information from. The next one we're tracking is Reddit. And the third one is StockTwits. And we're also integrated EDGAR into this as well and into news from the Globe Wire. And the reason why we do that is we have like a truthiness bar. So if someone posts some discussion talking about a particular firm, that information is compared to what's out there in the, on EDGAR and on the news, and it makes a decision. Is this actually a tr very truthful post made by that person? And we have a score below that person's post, and they're named as well, so you can keep track of these people who are posting about you as well.
So, okay, I want to talk about this real quick because this is actually, you may not know this. This is incredibly timely. There's actually a company that just had securities litigation filed against them. No joke. I want to say I want to say it was either beginning of this week or it was last week.
Mhm.
And what it is it's just another story of a pump and dump that got called out. And what happened is it's a Malaysian company.
Mhm.
So the SEC basically their cross-border task force said that
Mhm.
these guys were doing online schemes to where they were pushing out content and data around their
Mhm.
company and then basically saying that, hey, this is amazing, got to buy it, get in on this now, whatever, and then allegedly doing all of that type of stuff. And so, of course, when the SEC goes ahead and reports on that, then the attorneys, they incline, the plaintiff attorneys are very happy to take that information, run with it, get shareholders and step in and securities litigation ensues, right? So these guys
Mhm.
went up 400% based off of what they were doing with social media pushing. And then it tanked 93% very quickly thereafter. So are you telling me that GateWatch is actually going to help with protecting investors from trash like that?
Exactly, exactly. It,
That's
it
really cool, dude.
it monitors and listens and tells you, does this look like basically spam, a pump and dump? Is this like a coordinated posts by a bunch of different folks, different networks? And you can even timestamp them and see where they're coming from. Down the road, we also want to be able to track their IP addresses and put multiple layers to it. Very valuable to the clients. They like seeing this stuff. And what discussions are being had and who's plotting and who their handles as well. And then you can
That's
kind of keep
legit.
track of them. And you get a daily email summary of this as well. So you don't have to be constantly logged on.
Okay, so I didn't even plan on talking to you about that or asking you that. So apologies. But kind of keeping in rhythm with some of the
Mhm.
other thoughts that I had that I wanted to make sure that we run through. I want to talk about specifically like when a company goes through, they do their DSPAC, they're public now.
Mhm.
What are the early signs that tell these newly public companies that just came through a DSPAC that they're winning or losing trust with the market?
The key sign we find is that even before they had to de-SPAC, 3 to 6 months, are people talking about the transaction? Are they excited about it?
Okay.
Are they excited about the target firm's technology? What they're doing. Are they excited about the sponsor? There's some serial sponsors that people keep eyeing on, and when they see them come up with even the vehicle without even having the target, they get excited and start talking about them. So the key signal we see is excitement, and this excitement is actually measurable, and you can relate that to even to the redemption rates from that, which is very interesting, and nobody's doing that, collecting that kind of data.
So would you say that people tend to be more excited from a standpoint of like social sentiment or just looking at fundamentals whenever you're doing this? Like with it being social media, is it more of just kind of the social sentiment, retail
Mm.
investor kind of thing?
There's different layers to it. The first layer, which is the larger layer, which is more applying to a bigger denominator, common denominator, is the social sentiment, like the buzz around the company,
Yeah.
right? And then there's a second layer when you peel it off, the people that are looking from a frame of a technical frame, technical analysis, looking at the actual product itself that's being sold, whether it's a RWA real world asset tokenization product like Securitize or electric vehicle, like Lucid when it came through as a SPAC.
Yep.
And then there's a third deeper layer, analytical layer that looks at the financial transaction, that looks at how it's structured, is given the trust size, the valuation that's given to the company, and then on DSPAC starting to trade at $10, is it going to hold $10 or is it going to go right on down, right? So you have these three layers working together with the social sentiment framework being the key driver, followed then by the actual product itself, and then the third from the social retail traders, anyways, is the fundamentals analysis, right? Which is a different framework than you would see from a sell side or a buy side analyst, right? These guys are
Yep.
looking honestly from buzz, basically, the majority of them.
So, okay, let's talk about this. You mentioned a minute ago, 6 months. You said that these guys need to see starting 6 months ahead of when they even do the combination. How is the retail investor market already responding to them? Is there a buzz, everything like that? If that's 6 months out, then let me ask, how early do these companies that are private going public through a DSPAC need to be already working to build their presence with media, retail investors, and all of that before the DSPAC's actually going to close?
I've seen them usually around 6 month mark. They start like their digital roadshow-ish. When obviously this is after the announcement of the deal. You see the earned media starts to come out. We
Yeah.
see that like announcing the deal. On the wire, and then sometimes we do see pieces on the CEOs from both end. From the sponsor side and from the target side, especially if it's a more highly visible company. And then as we get closer, we see more tempo about the product, what they're doing, just to build like an informed uh, base around the company. Some companies are better than others. Some sponsors are better than others. What I have noticed is that the top three sponsors, the top 3 to 5, are very good at this. These are guys who have gone brought companies public 10 times or more. They know what they're doing and they know who to go to sell their story. And the retail is part of the approach. They, at minimum, approach firms like us to help them sell their story, tell their story, in a way that retail understands, in a language they understand. You got to remember, Chaz, like our father's generation, they looked at the back of the newspaper for all the information about stocks and different companies. Our generation, like the people that are, 10, 15 years older than us, maybe they still watch news, Fox News, listen to Kramer, that crazy guy on the TV,
Dude,
to get their stock
telling you.
information. I still do that sometimes on the podcast when I'm driving, but the younger generation, the millennials, they go to Reddit, they go to stock to it, they go to X to get their investment information. And you have to be at these places. You have to meet them where they're at, right? And a lot of the big media agencies, a lot of the big PR firms are still figuring out this equation and how to do it, obviously in a kosher manner, but also an effective manner, right? An effective manner that scales. And that's where we're at. We're the only organization, one of the top organizations that's doing it, definitely for sure for SPACs and DSPAC, but in the space of IPOs, reverse mergers, and direct listings, helping these firms, making sure their stories are told accurately, using all the publicly available information in a kosher fashion that's compliant to the different silos of the social media milieu, right? So that's what we're doing. That's what we're seeing. And this is the future because, as you're aware of, 36% of equity flow is from retail traders, right after I think stock buybacks. That's like the top
Now,
two.
is this post combination?
Uh, you mean what I'm saying? No, this is globally across the market, equities market. When you
Oh,
look at
okay.
all the dollars that are circulating and where they're going, I think number one is stock buybacks, if I remember correctly, and number two is retail traders, basically day traders, at
Hmm.
36% of equity flow. Forbes had a piece that came out a couple of months ago about it. So did Bloomberg as well. You can look it up online. It's crazy. I thought, my estimation was like 10% or something like that. Then when I saw those numbers, it blew my mind. The
Hmm.
crazy part is because of these significant number of day traders, which are increasingly becoming a greater portion of the equity flow, on a daily basis. You need to approach them at where they're at. Or, the old platforms are not working anymore. The legacy media is failing strongly in this aspect.
Got it. Yeah, it's actually hilarious because did you ever watch that TV show Heroes? Did you ever see that one?
No, what is it about?
So no, I loved it. It was this show to where it was these people that just talking about human genetics and that we're always constantly evolving. And these particular ones had some marker or whatever
Mhm.
that had like once activated, they actually had random superpowers, whatever. But
Mhm.
like, but the thing is that in one scene, you see this guy who's reading the newspaper to an old man that's dying, and he's reading what stocks are up and down out of the newspaper. And I
Mhm.
just happened to be watching that like this past week. And I was like, man, I remember whenever I was in school and they told us about reading the stocks out of the newspaper. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, you get to see it once a day. And you only get to see what had already been happening at close the day before. And now we have all of this real time information. It's insane how much it's evolved and will continue to evolve. But so let me ask this, because you talked about just your presence with Retail Vaults, with GateWatch, and just the the amount of people that you have that you're connecting with, everything like that. I know that you guys have repped for like 30 or 40 public companies doing roughly 40, $50 billion worth of market capitalization. Um, Let me ask you, what is the biggest difference with what you guys do? What's the biggest difference for preparing a company for a SPAC merger versus a traditional IPO? Because a lot of these companies, they may have already had their mindset like, oh, we're going to do an IPO, but now their IPO is just kind of fallen, dashed upon the rocks, and they're exploring their other options. Now they're looking at a DSPAC as an alternative. And so, like, how would they need to pivot their strategy and like how would you say that somebody like Retail Vaults and Gatewatch AI could be a partner for them on that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Chaz. I never really thought about it, but the key difference we've noticed is that when you go public through a SPAC, there's a whole process that is kind of, I feel like it's like a more longer IPO, right? Let's put it that way. Because there's the deal that's announced, the vehicle is there, takes a couple of months to complete the transaction. You want to have visibility, people to know about the deal. Uh, and the crazy part is when you go to the general public, a lot of people don't know about SPACs, to be honest with you. They know about IPOs, they know companies directly listing, but much less know about SPACs, right? So there's more education required
So true.
in terms of the retail to tell them what SPACs are. And we control the largest distribution for SPACs, for retail and DSPACs. And we tell them this is the kind of way to approach them and educating them and make sure they understand the target firm, the sponsor, the product of the target firm, and why it's going to be bringing value. Because at the end of the day, these companies are going public. They're bringing value to the world, right? They're making the world a richer place, in terms of the products and the services they offer, and they want their story to be told. And that's what we do at Retail Volts. We meet them, we have creative sessions, we have creative experts, we figure out how to best tell their stories, how to best approach. Not only that, we have earned media session where we also work with the CEO and the rest of the team to make sure they know the options they have for their earned media, where they should be going, where they should be doing the interviews, and helping set them up because we do in-house earned media as well. That's another feature that we have. And then we offer them as well this GateWatch AI portal, which they can themselves monitor the sentiment and what people are saying about them in real time. That comes with a summary into your into your inbox once daily because you're a busy CEO. You don't have time. You can use 5 minutes, read what people are saying, generally know if it's a bearish and bullish, whether you need to change your trajectory of how you're presenting yourself. So these are the kind of solutions we provide to private firms as they go public. As they try to evaluate, even some firms we've talked to, they're trying to figure out which way to go, direct listing. A lot of them want obviously IPOs, but then they realize about the how difficult it is to do that, right?
Yeah.
And then we come in and kind of educate them about the process.
Man, all I'm thinking is you talked about how they can go in there and they can actually read what investors are saying about them. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, they should probably take some ashwagandha or some St. John's wort before they do that, and then set a counseling session to start right after they do that. Because people could be cruel. Even when you're winning, people could be cruel.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm like,
I
man,
definitely agree with you, man. I've talked to a lot of, very emotional, high and lows, CEOs, and you just kind of tell them, buddy, it's okay. Tomorrow will be a better day, maybe we need a psychologist as part of the team, and a psychiatrist, and I don't know, but I totally agree with you. People can be really mean in social media. And the thing is, you also want to now tell the truth from the falsehood because there's a lot of bots running around parroting the same message. One guy can have a million bots, totally destroying your reputation. And we can identify where that's coming from and who they are and help you and give you options on how to deal with that.
So, okay, actually, dude, that sounds really interesting. So, can we dive into that a little bit? Because
Yeah.
I don't think that a lot of companies, particularly if you're private, you're not used to this being a thing. So, and I know that I've had a couple of my clients who have told me that
Mhm.
they've fallen prey to this.
Mhm.
So, can you talk about these bots and then really what you're able to do to help combat that a little bit more?
Yeah, before I do that, I'll explain how these bot networks work, where they're coming from. So my undergrad was in physics. I also did a lot of programming. So I kind of was aware of like different things you can do. You could say almost dark hat, like and on different platforms, whether it was a long time ago, LiveJournal, I don't know if you ever remember that, or, MSN, the messenger. Uh,
Yep, yep.
there's, th I'm sure you heard of Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah.
There's basically what happens is that on platforms like, for example, X, there's people that have the ability to instantaneously generate thousands of accounts and then run them as a single account and then overlay AI or another tool so they all appear unique. And then what they can do is they can say, hey, we don't like that particular company, we're shorting it. Please send this particular message and make sure it's everywhere, right? Uh, these people are more on the dark hat side, and they probably have a vested financial interest in shorting this company. And then all of a sudden on X, you see all these messages, negative about you and the company coming out of nowhere or on the back of negative earnings report or something like, oh, this is so disproportionate to, and then all of a sudden it feels like the whole community on X is against you. And I've seen companies like that. They're coming, hey, the whole community like, X is against us, right? There are ways to identify them. They usually come from few IP addresses. You can also look at the timestamps when the times are, they're literally sometimes same minute they all come out, 1,000 messages, right? And there's different ways of
Yeah.
analyzing that. So we can keep track of that. And there's different ways to act against them. We call them FUD teams, fear, demise, and and mania. So like we have teams to kind of identify, and we have like counter FUD teams to deal with them, for example, up to including working directly with our X reps, our Reddit reps, and our other social media reps, which we directly work with, identifying these type of accounts, which helps clear these bots. So bots are majority used for negative ways to spread negative messages, or sometimes positive messages if they're pumping them. They're usually run out of Eastern Europe, uh, India or Pakistan. So you can look at the IP addresses as well and where the accounts were made. Different ways of looking at them.
Yeah.
I hope that it explained. And just like you have them on X, you have them on Reddit, you have them on Discord, you have them on StockTwits, and companies need to be aware of them, right? Because you could be taken over
So
by bots.
no, it's such a problem. I see so many companies that are falling prey to it, whether it's getting pumped up or whether it's getting pushed down. In fact, I don't know that it's a thing, but I've heard that it's a thing to where you're getting a short squeeze that'll happen post combination
Mhm.
on some companies, and these guys will go out for a couple of weeks and they'll actually help to kind of push the narrative on it so that they can be shorting it. And then all of a sudden, they turn off the spigot for all of that extra stuff that they're putting out there. And then
Mhm.
everything falls. And then they're just, they make their money because they shorted, you know? And
Mhm.
so which I think that that type of stuff, if you're listening right now and you do that, I think you're trash. I absolutely think you're trash, just so you know.
Mhm.
But I hate whenever people do that kind of crap, the manipulating. So, but I would ask, is that something to where that's part of your standard package that people get whenever they jump in with Retail Vaults and Gateway Watch AI, or is that something to where that's an add-on that they can actually come and take advantage of if they
So
needed
part of
to help out?
Yeah, so when a client is onboarded, we have a social media audit session where we look at across all their social media accounts to see what's happening, how they could be optimized, and if there's any bearish or bullish sentiment, and also if there's any concerns or issues with bots or other items like we discussed, and then we present strategies so every single client gets it. Every single client has a creative strategy session. They have an earned media session. They have a social media strategy session, and global, coordination of efforts with their PR and media with ours as well. Four big sessions right at the beginning, right within the first week, so that
Mm.
all the horses are heading the same direction, and we've kind of mapped out the first 1 to 3 months to make sure things go well. And generally, they do go very well for our companies. We also do our due diligence. Obviously, we don't accept every single private firm. Sometimes a company might have a product that's very weak or vaporware. You know what I mean? So we have to do due diligence on them just to make sure what they're bringing to market is actually a real product that's bringing value. Because we really do believe in that everybody can win in these transactions. The retail who's buying can win, the company that's going public is going to win, and the whole world with the product that they brought, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the benefit of capitalism, right? Uh, because money is useless. Money is just a commodity, right? Money is a tool that we use to uh, make our world a better place, right? Ideally, anyways, right? And at Retail Volts, that's what we hope to do. Just to stay on the positive side of capitalism and make sure we work with companies that are bringing value to the world and make sure that everybody wins in the transaction.
So let me shift gears real quick. Um, like you've talked about just a little bit ago, whenever you were kind of unpacking the bots, you were actually talking about kind of your background. You studied physics, everything like that. And so, and I know early in the conversation you mentioned that you did oncology. Um, so outside of retail vaults, I'd love to just hear a little bit more about what prompted you, first of all, to make the jump from doing what you do today from being an oncologist? Could you just kind of share that story?
Yeah, honestly, I never planned it out. It just happened, just like that GateWatch evolved, out of the projects that we're doing organically and Skunkworks. Um, I always been on, I was that generation that was born with, my dad gave me a computer to work and repair, and then I just been chronically online since I was 12, from I have the same live journal account, which it's like my diary, basically. It's embarrassing to say this, that I write in, and I've been using it since 20 2009 or something like that, So it's like 16, 17 years old,
Wow.
you know? And then, I had Reddit since Reddit was there from the beginning and have been a moderator for, 10 years, And from that during that process became moderator over 120 subreddits of all the topics that I have interest in, whether it's in cats like void cats, like black cats, I really like void like like Bengal cats, to, robotics, to Star Wars, Star Trek related subreddits, to, just math, applied physics, things that interested me. And I started like discussions with groups of people, and then that evolved into a sub. And one of them was, a couple of them were financial subreddits, right? And we're a bunch of guys, they were lawyers, they were physicians, PE guys, just talking about different things. And before I knew it, there were companies that were trying to gain access to these subreddits so they can tell their stories. And so I did maybe like 20 or 30 CEO interviews before another friend told me, hey, I think you can make a business out of this because you're bringing so much value and you've just been doing it for free for years. I was like, yeah, whatever, let's just do it. Let's see what happens. And honestly, it turned into a seven-figure business overnight, uh, hosting these interviews and then with how my brain works. I always had this skunkworks lab where just develop ideas, and test them out, see what sticks. And from that came out Retail Sparks first, then Retail Volts, and all the product and service lines we offer, right? Mostly stealth the first 3 years doing research, and then live 2024. And ever since then, the sky has been the limit, honestly.
So I appreciate that, man. It's funny because if you guys didn't catch it, he was talking about cats. Um, so interesting thing about Mo is you live on a farm and you live outside of Omaha, Nebraska on
Yeah.
a farm. You've got rescue horses, rescue cats, rescue dogs, and you just go out there and you blow stuff up and you've got rockets that you launch up and everything like that and you're just kind of living that redneck life almost and in a lot of ways, but from kind of like a techie nerdy type angle. And I love that. I think that's so awesome and cool.
Yeah.
I just got one question. Knowing that you live in Omaha, I mean, is the Oracle one of your clients? Like, have you got him on board yet?
No, but hopefully one day. I've been one degree a couple of times away. A couple of our clients had Warren as an investor, but I have never met him yet. I'm sure if I tried, I can, we're in the same town. I know the McDonald's he goes to every morning, but I just like letting things happen organically and naturally, and
He eats breakfast at McDonald's every morning.
I'm not lying. He does. Look him up. Look it up. He
That's awesome.
goes to the same McDonald's, gets the same meal almost every single morning.
And
Uh,
all along, I mean, because he has lived a very long life, right? And all along, everybody's telling you that McDonald's is so horrible for you, and then here's this guy,
there's always outliers, right?
right?
That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Oh, and I know he's genuine. He's talked about it numerous times, and I watched some of his interviews. I was like, yeah, and other people have pointed that out. So I know, and he has no reason to lie. He says things as they are mostly. So that's very interesting. But yeah, honestly, I'm married into a redneck family, so that's one reason I'm here too. You know,
Uh,
trucks all over the house, and it's fun, honestly. My wife is currently away traveling, visiting her family, so I'm like managing the farm in the morning, getting up at 4 or 5 a.m., feeding all the horses, make sure they, have their grain, make sure the hay is out. And then some of the older, sicker horses have their, extra pellets. And I've
Yeah.
been two goats escaped recently from electric fence, and I don't even know what the solution is. I told Eric I don't know what to do here. I tried to wrangle them in like in pitch black darkness 2 nights ago. It was me fighting a goat holding his horns. Yeah, that totally failed. I thought I could just drag him back, drag him back, and he wasn't having it. But honestly, it's fun. It's a space I like going, and it's just totally disconnect from the internet and the digital world, and kind of reset myself. I like connecting with the ground and earth, just sitting there on the ground, and especially smelling the soil after rain. These are things that kind of ground me and
Mm,
keep things um like know where the true north is, that and God, obviously, like you said.
I love that, man. Absolutely love that. So, just do you have any final notes, any final things that you'd want to throw out there to the listeners?
I just want to say thank you so much, Chaz, for your DSPAC podcast. I love it. I was listening to my drive. The last one was with Brandon's son. I love that interview. I tangentially have talked over email with Brandon as well, with mutual clients and stuff, but hearing that side of him was very valuable. Please keep that up. It's very valuable to the community. And thank you for the work you're doing for the SPAC and DSPAC community. We need people like you out there, and providing the insurance for the C-suite, providing this forum for people to connect and talk to each other. And thank you so much for the moment here and really appreciate you.
No, man, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming on. It's been an honor sharing some time with you, brother. And I appreciate you speaking to all of these private companies looking to go public and considering a DSPAC, helping them figure out how do you how do you become public facing better whenever you are going to be a public company. So I appreciate you, appreciate Retail Volts, Gateway Watch AI or GateWatch AI, sorry, and just everything that you guys have going on. So again, everybody, I've got Mo, and I'm your host, Chaz, with Churchwell Insurance Agency, your host of the DSPAC podcast. If you haven't given us a review yet, please go online, take 30 seconds. It's such a blessing to help us get a further reach in the community for more people who need to actually unpack and understand what we have going on. Blessings. Thanks, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye, Chaz.